Are we ready with the remote cameras?
Camera 1 is in the design lab. Camera 1, check your focus. Check. Camera 2, at the assembly plant with Mary and Heather. Camera 2, zoom in please and pan left. Remote cameras ready to roll.
Audio check on Carol.
Check 1, 2, 3.
Stand by on camera 1 in the design lab.
Camera 1, ready.
Hi, I'm Liza.
And I'm Michael. Today, Kids on Location will check out how cars are made. We're going to take you along as we go behind the scenes with our Kids on Location reporters.
We'll meet Carol, who is an engineer. She has one of the neatest jobs I can think of. She designs cars and trucks. She'll help our reporters give you a special tour of an assembly plant where we can watch people and robots build one of our favorite cars, minivans.
Cue camera 1. Hi, Carol.
Hi, kids. Welcome to my design studio. This is where we design the cars and trucks that you ride in every day.
Where do the ideas come from? Do you get to design whatever you want?
That's right, Liza. You've just zeroed in on the most fun part of what we do. We develop our own ideas and we turn them into real minivans. Here, let me show you how it works.
First, a person called a designer draws an idea for a new minivan on paper. This sketch is called a thumbnail. Then, the designer works with an engineer like me to figure out how all the pieces of the minivan will fit together. Before an idea leaves this design area, an engineer has to answer a lot of questions. The first one is, will it be safe? Then, we consider how comfortable it is, how easy it is to drive, whether it has enough space for things like pets and sports gear, and of course, how we can make it friendly for the environment. Then, engineers like me use computer programs called computer-aided design, or CAD, to make these special pictures of the car or minivan and all of its parts. Using CAD, we can even make a full-size computer model of the car. With the help of these CAD pictures, we can test how everything will work under different conditions. We can also see instantly what happens if we make it a little longer or a bit taller. The next step is to make a life-size clay model of the minivan, like this Plymouth Voyager. This is the first chance we have to actually walk around the new design and see how it will look. The modelers can even put special decals on the clay to see what the car will look like when it has windows and is painted.
Whoa, you could have fooled me. That looks like the real thing.
While the modelers work on the outside shape of the car, an interior designer decides what goes inside. The interior designer picks the best materials for the seats, the instrument panel, and the carpet. The interior designers also choose the best place for all the buttons and switches on the instrument panel. Everything has to be easy to read and easy for the driver to reach. You shouldn't take your eyes off the road to find your favorite radio station. There are thousands of parts in a minivan, and we'd have a tough time keeping track of them all if we didn't have computers. Every part has a special purpose, and the challenge for engineers is to put them all together in the smartest way.
It's like a huge three-dimensional jigsaw puzzle, and every piece has to fit just right.
So then you shipped the plans to the plant and built zillions of them, right?
Not yet, Michael. First, the engineers build one car by hand. This first one is called the prototype.
The prototype is a real working car. We test it in all kinds of weather and on all sorts of roads. We drive it in snow, wind, rain, scorching sun, on smooth roads, bumpy roads, windy roads, steep hills. You name it, and these expert test drivers put the prototype through it. They make sure the car will handle well in emergencies. They even test it to make sure that if it ever did get in an accident, you'll be as safe as you can possibly be inside. Then the real work begins. We have to get the plant ready to build a completely new design. Every machine on the assembly line is specially designed to build just this minivan. Then, Every machine is tested to make sure it will make the best minivan ever. It takes almost as much work to get the assembly line ready to build the minivans as it does to design them.
Then we send the design to the assembly plant where we build them.
Thanks, Carol. 2 of our kids' team are on location right now to give us an insider's look of the making of a minivan. Cue camera 2. How does it look, Mary?
Thanks, Liza. This is Mary reporting for Kids on Location. We are at the Chrysler Minivan plant in St. Louis. And this place is gigantic. They bring in all the pieces to build the minivans here.
And they roll the finished minivans out here. Hi, my name's Heather, and they can make more than 1,000 minivans in one day.
So they don't make all the parts right there at the plant.
That's right, Michael. That's why this is called an assembly plant. All the parts of the minivan are made in lots of different factories around the country. The seats, mirrors, tires, even the screws and bolts and knobs. Some of them might be made near where you live. The loading docks at the plant have to work really fast because all those parts are shipped here by truck or train and delivered right to the assembly line. Imagine how careful we have to be to get every part for each minivan delivered to the right place and at the right time.
How do they know what goes where?
Every Voyager built here is built to order. That means that someone has asked for a specific color with their very own options. We list all the details on this order form, which we call a bingo board. Every minivan is given a special identification number at the very beginning of the assembly line. At every position along the assembly, the workers check the bingo board and know exactly what goes into each minivan. This forklift driver is bringing a load of parts to the body shop. Let's ride along. The body shop is where they build the steel body of the van. All through the assembly plant, you'll see where the workers rely on special machines and robots to help them move and assemble the heavy pieces of the van.
Did you say robots? Really?
That's right, Michael. We'll get to those in a minute.
This is where they weld together the parts that will make up the front of the minivan. You'll see everyone at the plant, workers and visitors, wearing safety glasses to protect their eyes. Here, they are putting the parts into a robot welding machine to be assembled. There are almost 400 robots in the assembly plant. Most of them are robot welders. We'll see some really big ones soon.
Cool.
What are all those wheels and pulleys?
Good eye, Liza. That's part of the conveyor system that carries all of the pieces of the van through the assembly stations. The conveyor winds all through the building, and if you stretched it all out, it would be almost 13 miles long.
Wow, that must be a big building to hold all of that.
It sure is, Liza. This assembly plant covers over 2.5 million square feet. That's bigger than 50 football fields. In fact, it's so big and there is so much action all the time, one of the best ways to get from one place to another is on one of these. Let's take a quick trip over to another part of the plant and watch them working on the rest of the body. Hang on tight! Over here, you can see how the frame of the minivan is put together. This is called the ladder assembly because it looks like a ladder when you stand it on end.
Is that really a robot?
That's right, Mary. There are different types of robots all over the plant that do most of the assembly work that has to be done exactly the same, time after time after time. They also do some of the more dangerous jobs like welding and a lot of the heavy lifting. And they never get tired.
What are they doing here?
This is where you can first see the body of the minivan take shape. It's called the toy tab area because it looks kind of like when you put together a paper model and the instructions tell you to insert tab A into slot B and then you bend the tab over. This woman is applying a special sealant that will help make the van quieter to ride in. After the parts are assembled in toy tab, the body is sent to the big robot welders.
This is what I've been waiting for.
Yeah, this is so cool.
These robots are welding together the body of the minivan. They can assemble more than 20 bodies at a time here.
Weld here, weld there. Hey, watch your sparks. Weld left, weld right. Heads up. Kids are working. Weld up, weld down. Hi, kids.
This is the final stage of the body shop. These workers are carefully inspecting the entire body to make sure it's ready to go to the paint shop. These bright lights make it easy to see any imperfections in the body that might not look good when the van is painted. These two workers are checking to make sure the doors fit perfectly. After it passes their inspection, the body is sent upstairs to the paint department. The minivan is painted with the doors on so that the color on all of the parts matches exactly. The first step in painting the minivan is to dip the entire body in a special solution that prepares the surface to be painted. Just before the body goes to be painted, it goes through this black light booth. Remember the sealant they were putting on in the toy tab area? It glows under these black lights so that these inspectors can make sure the sealants have been applied to all of the right spots.
Nice lights.
After this final inspection, the body goes into the paint booth where the final color is sprayed on and treated with a coating that will help keep the paint from chipping. Then they put the whole body into an oven to bake on the paint. After the paint dries, the body is sent back downstairs to finish the assembly process. The first stop after the body comes downstairs is here at an area called Doors Off, because that's exactly what they do here. By taking the doors off of the body, the workers on the rest of the assembly line can work on the inside of the car and not worry about scratching the paint on the doors. This woman is putting together the door latch assemblies for each door as they pass by her workstation. Then they put matching bingo boards on the body and the doors so that later on the exact same doors that come off of this van will go back on. From here, the doors go off on their own conveyor to have the windows and trim put in before they meet up with the body later on.
What's that thing?
This is where the wiring harness is installed. This big thing that looks like a rope is actually all of the wires that will power the electrical parts of the van, like the lights, power windows and door locks, the radio, you name it. If it runs off of electrical power, this bunch of wires is connected to it. There are hundreds of feet of wiring in one minivan. The next stop for the body is the trim area. This is where they put all of the parts inside the body, like the instrument panel, the headliner, and there goes the carpet. After all of the trim is finished, the body comes here to have the front and back windows installed. These big pieces of glass are very heavy, and they have to go in exactly right so they won't leak in the rain. Sounds like a perfect job for
Robots.
Exactly right. These workers are getting the glass ready. They put on the rear view mirror and spread a sealer around the edge of the glass. Then they hand it over to the robot to do the final installation. While they put the finishing touches on the body, we'll go over to the other side of the plant where another group of people are building the engine and the chassis. This woman is checking the computer to make sure each engine is given the right identification number for the van it will go into. She already knows that this exact engine will go into a green Plymouth Voyager with power door locks, a CD player, and a luggage rack. There's the bingo board. After the engine is built, it is put on this part of the assembly line called the KUKA line. It's named after the company that makes this part of the conveyor. This is where the axles, the brakes, the muffler, and all of the other parts that make up the bottom or chassis of the van are assembled. This is where it all comes together, and I really mean comes together. This is where the completed chassis is joined to the body. Watch how this machine lifts the whole chassis up to the body and then automatically tightens all of the bolts that hold it in place.
Hey, Carol, here come the doors again.
You got it, Liza. Now it's time to put them back on. These workers make sure the doors go on the same minivan they came off, and they make sure they fit exactly right. Now that we have the top and bottom joined together, it's time to put on the finishing touches, like installing the seats. See how these workers use special machines to help with the heavy lifting. A few final touches under the hood, and now all we need are the tires. These tires started out on a conveyor in another building and have been traveling over our head the whole way here. This is where they get put onto the minivan.
So that's it? Now it's ready to be sent to the new car dealer?
Well, you're close, Michael. It is all put together now. But these workers want to make sure everything works the way we engineers designed it. So before they send the minivans to the dealer, they want to thoroughly test them first.
What kind of tests?
First, they do a wheel alignment. That's to make sure the wheels will run smoothly on the highway. Then they put the wheels on this roller system so that they can run the engine and make sure it's working properly. They can run the engine and wheels at highway speeds this way, but the van never actually goes anywhere. Next, they put the whole minivan through this giant water tank and spray it with 140 gallons of water per minute to make sure there are no leaks anywhere. After that, every minivan is driven over this test track to make sure it accelerates and brakes all right. They also drive it over all these different types of bumps and potholes to make sure there aren't any parts that are loose or making any sort of noise. If they do find something wrong on the test track, the van is sent here to BSR. That stands for Buzz, Squeak, and Rattle, and that's exactly what they're looking for. We invited Mary and Heather to ride along while the technicians put the van on this machine that bounces, shakes, and vibrates the whole car until they can find the noise and fix it.
I think I'm doing well, don't you?
After each Voyager has passed these tests, they go through one more final inspection to make sure it's ready to go to the dealer. After they get the seal of approval from this inspection, they are loaded onto trucks or trains and sent to dealerships all over the country.
And this is what it's all about. It takes more than 3,000 people to design, test, assemble, and deliver this minivan. But for me, the best part is seeing that it all works and that the customers are happy with the minivan that I helped design. Some of the parts used to make this minivan might be made near your house. Check with your school about taking a trip to the factory, or plan a trip with your family and friends to watch the delivery trucks when the new cars arrive from the assembly line. Now that you know what's involved, check it out in your hometown. I hope to see you on the design team someday, but until then,
I hope you enjoy your minivan.
goodbye.
For Kids on Location, this has been Mary.
And Heather. Goodbye.
Thanks, Carol. And thanks, Mary and Heather. That was an awesome tour. It's been fun seeing how cars are made. The huge plants and the robot welders were incredible.
I like the paint tank and the conveyor that carried the parts. It was all so cool. For Kids on Location, I'm Michael.
And I'm Liza. Thanks for coming with us. Goodbye.